In the 18th century, the age of exploration was at its zenith, characterized by a fervent quest for knowledge, trade routes, and territorial expansion. European powers such as Britain, Spain, France, and the Netherlands were locked in a competitive race to explore and claim new lands. The spirit of discovery was both a political and economic pursuit, motivated by the potential for wealth from spices, minerals, and other resources that new territories might offer. The world was a vast, largely unmapped landscape, and map-making was integral to the expansionist ideologies of the time. This period saw the refinement of navigational instruments like the sextant and improvements in shipbuilding that made long sea voyages more feasible. Explorers set sail with the wind in their sails and the salt air filling their lungs, pushing further into the unknown, driven by a blend of ambition and curiosity. The Pacific Ocean, vast and mysterious, was one of the final frontiers of this era of navigation. It was a time when the notion of a connected world was burgeoning, and the Pacific, with its expanse of over 60 million square miles, offered both challenges and opportunities. The region was a puzzle of undiscovered islands and uncharted waters. The explorers who dared to venture into this blue wilderness were met with both awe-inspiring beauty and perilous seas. The sound of waves crashing against the wooden hulls of their ships was a constant reminder of the ocean's power. The salty spray on their faces as they stood on deck was a testament to their resolve. For many European nations, establishing routes across the Pacific was paramount, not just for trade, but for strategic dominance. The Pacific was the key to unlocking both commerce and conquest in Asia and beyond. Amidst the undertakings of exploration loomed the elusive Great Southern Land, a landmass believed by many to balance the earth. Theories of this terra incognita had persisted for centuries, prompted by the notion that a hidden continent must exist to counterbalance the known continents in the northern hemisphere. This land, referred to as Terra Australis, was a tantalizing enigma that lured explorers with promises of wealth and new knowledge. The whispers of its existence floated through the ports of Europe, enticing those who listened with its mystery. It seemed to linger just beyond the horizon, cloaked in myth and the romantic allure of the unknown. The quest to discover this land was not just an ambition, it was an obsession for many navigators, whose imaginations were fired by the tantalizing possibilities it held. In this climate of exploration and discovery, Captain James Cook emerged as a pivotal figure. With the support of the British Admiralty and the Royal Society, Cook was commissioned to embark on a voyage that would redefine the maps of the known world and cement his legacy as one of history's greatest explorers. As he prepared to set sail from Plymouth in August 1768 aboard the HMS Endeavour, the air was thick with anticipation. The ship, equipped with the latest navigational tools and a dedicated crew, was a microcosm of the era's scientific and exploratory zeal. The sails billowed as the Endeavour cut through the water, setting forth on a journey that promised to unveil the secrets of the great southern land. The selection of Captain James Cook to lead the expedition was no mere whim of fate, but a calculated decision by the British Admiralty and the Royal Society, reflecting the convergence of ambition and expertise necessary for such a formidable endeavour. Cook, born in 1728 in the rural village of Marton in Yorkshire, had risen through the ranks of the British Navy with a reputation for meticulous cartography and exceptional seamanship. His previous work in mapping Newfoundland had demonstrated not only his technical prowess, but also his ability to endure the harshness of sea voyages. the Admiralty recognized in Cook a man of both intellect and resolve, capable of undertaking a mission that demanded precision and courage. His selection was a testament to his capabilities and hinted at the high regard in which he was held by his peers, an appointment that was as much about his intellect as his leadership. The objectives set by the Royal Society and the British Admiralty were ambitious and multifaceted, reflecting the intertwined interests of science and empire. Primarily, the endeavour was to travel to Tahiti to observe the transit of Venus across the Sun, a rare astronomical event that held the promise of unlocking the secrets of the solar system. This was a scientific endeavour of immense importance, with potential implications for navigation and timekeeping. However, another, more clandestine mission awaited Cook beyond this astronomical observation. The Admiralty had instructed him to search for the fabled southern continent, Terra Australis Incognita, which, if discovered, could dramatically expand British influence and trade routes. These objectives underscored Britain's dual pursuit of knowledge and territorial expansion, a hallmark of the era's imperialistic ambitions. The voyage was, therefore, both an exploration of celestial phenomena and a quest for earthly dominion. As dawn broke on the morning of August the 26th, 1768, a palpable sense of anticipation hung in the air at Plymouth's bustling harbour. The weather was brisk, a typical English morning with a chill that hinted at the edge of autumn. Dockworkers, sailors, and onlookers assembled along the quayside, their breath visible in the crisp air, mingling with the salty tang of the sea and the pungent aroma of tar and oakum. The HMS Endeavour, a sturdy coal ship repurposed for exploration, lay at the ready, her decks abuzz with activity. Sounds of creaking timber, the clatter of boots and shouted orders filled the morning air as the ship prepared to leave the familiarity of the English coastline. Cook, clad in his naval uniform, stood on deck, the embodiment of calm amidst the orchestrated chaos. His eyes scanned the horizon, a man on the precipice of both history and discovery. As the tide turned, the Endeavour slipped her moorings, guided by the hands of seasoned mariners and the pull of adventure. The sails unfurled to catch the morning breeze, billowing canvas capturing the wind with a grace that belied the arduous journey ahead. The crew, a diverse assembly of sailors, scientists, and the artist Sidney Parkinson, gathered to witness the departure. Their hearts swelled with a mix of excitement and trepidation, aware that they were embarking on a voyage that promised not only the thrill of discovery, but also the unknown perils of uncharted waters. With the coastline fading in the distance, the Endeavour began her journey, a voyage that would redefine the world's understanding of the vast oceanic expanses that lay beyond the horizon. The Endeavour's journey across the Pacific was not merely one of exploration, but also of profound scientific endeavour. Among the most critical objectives was the observation of the transit of Venus, a celestial event sought after by astronomers worldwide. This rare astronomical occurrence, when Venus passes directly between the Earth and the Sun, was to be observed on June 3, 1769. For this purpose, James Cook, along with his astronomically inclined companions, had set their sights on the island of Tahiti, a jewel in the vast Pacific and an ideal vantage point, free from the constraints of European skies. As the Endeavour anchored in Tahiti's Matavai Bay, the crew was greeted by the lush, verdant landscape of the island, its tropical air rich with the scent of blooming flowers and the gentle rustle of palm fronds. The islanders, curious and welcoming, approached the ship with a mix of cautious intrigue and warm hospitality, offering provisions and local knowledge that would prove invaluable to the British explorers. With the anticipation of the transit heightening, Cook and his team, including the astronomer Charles Green, prepared diligently. The transit was not just a spectacle, but a crucial opportunity to measure the distance between the Earth and the Sun, thereby enhancing the accuracy of navigation and mapping. A pursuit of immense importance to the Age of Enlightenment's scientific community. The makeshift observatory erected on Tahiti's shores was a testament to their dedication. A humble structure crafted from timbers and canvas, yet equipped meticulously with telescopes and other essential instruments. June 3rd dawned clear and bright over Tahiti, the sky an uninterrupted expanse of blue, promising perfect conditions for the observation. As the moment approached, a tense excitement gripped the observers. They gathered in their observatory, clad in their best naval attire, the fabric starched and stiff in the humid air, their eyes fixed upon the heavens. The silence was punctuated only by the rhythmic ticking of their timepieces and the distant cries of tropical birds, a symphony of nature against the epic backdrop of the celestial event unfolding above. As Venus made its journey across the face of the sun, the team diligently recorded their observations, knowing the precision of their measurements would ripple through the scientific community, affecting navigation techniques for years to come. This achievement was not merely an exercise in curiosity, but a stepping stone in mankind's quest to understand the universe and improve the maps that charted the seas. This significant advancement in astronomical science underscored the voyage's dual purpose: exploring uncharted territories while also contributing substantially to the scientific body of knowledge. The successful observation of the transit of Venus was a testament to the skill and dedication of Cook's team and a reminder of the intertwined destinies of exploration and science. This accomplishment marked a significant waypoint in their journey, a confluence of tradition and innovation as they continued onward, driven by the promise of uncovering the mysteries of the great southern land. With the successful observation of the transit of Venus behind them, Captain James Cook and his crew set their sights on the next leg of their journey, a daunting and uncertain voyage across the expansive Pacific Ocean from Tahiti towards the uncharted lands of New Zealand. On August 9th, 1769, the HMS Endeavour weighed anchor, its sails filled with the trade winds that whispered promises of discovery and adventure. The atmosphere on deck was charged with anticipation. The salty tang of the ocean air mixed with the musky scent of the ship's tarred ropes and weathered wood, creating a sensory tapestry unique to life at sea. As the Endeavour sliced through the azure waters, the crew encountered the vastness of the Pacific in all its glory and treachery. The journey was fraught with both opportunity and peril. The men, clad in their sturdy naval uniforms, worked under the relentless sun, their focus unwavering as they navigated through the immense aquatic expanse. The rhythmic creaking of the wooden vessel and the occasional cry of a seabird were the only sounds that punctuated the otherwise silent horizon. Despite their experience, the sailors were ever wary of the shifting weather patterns. The Pacific was notorious for its capricious nature, and soon enough, the Endeavour was at the mercy of adverse weather conditions. The ship was buffeted by sudden squalls and relentless winds, which tested the mettle of Cook and his crew. Navigational challenges were compounded by the primitive tools at their disposal. The sextants and chronometers, while revolutionary for their time, required skill and fortitude to use in such unpredictable weather. The Endeavour's charts, though detailed, could offer little guidance in these uncharted waters. Storms often loomed on the horizon, their dark clouds threatening to overtake the vessel with a ferocity that matched the ocean's own tumult. Yet, through it all, Cook's leadership was unyielding. His determination to map the unknown lands ahead was both a scientific mission and a beacon of hope for his crew. After weeks of arduous travel, their perseverance was rewarded on October 6th, 1769, when the cry of "Land ho!" echoed from the masthead. The misty outlines of New Zealand's shores emerged from the sea's embrace, gradually revealing themselves to the eager eyes of the crew. Cook's primary task now was to chart the coastline with precision, and he set about this with a methodical zeal. Over the next 6 months, the crew of the Endeavour painstakingly mapped nearly 2,400 miles, 3,860 kilometres of New Zealand's rugged coast. Cook's cartographic skills were unparalleled, and his maps would become invaluable navigational tools for future explorers. The challenge of mapping was immense, as the coastlines were jagged, the weather unpredictable, and the waters teeming with hidden dangers. The Endeavour navigated narrow inlets and treacherous reefs, all while contending with sudden gales and the constant threat of running aground. The crew's efforts were further complicated by the limited knowledge they held of the indigenous Maori people, whose presence added another layer of complexity to the mission. Yet, Cook's meticulous record-keeping and the crew's resilience resulted in a landmark achievement: the first comprehensive map of New Zealand, a testament to human endurance and the indomitable spirit of exploration. As the Endeavour continued its voyage, the success of mapping New Zealand stood as a crucial chapter in the broader endeavour of mapping the Great Southern Land, a journey that was far from over but already rich with discovery and challenge. On April 19th, 1770, as the morning mist slowly lifted off the vast stretches of the Pacific Ocean, the men aboard the HMS Endeavour caught their first glimpse of the eastern coastline of what would come to be known as Australia. The sight was initially one of hazy landforms blurred by the early light and the sea spray that lashed against the ship's hull. Cook, ever diligent, stood on the deck with his telescope in hand, his keen eyes scanning the unfamiliar horizon. The sense of anticipation was palpable among the crew, who had spent months navigating the high seas with little more than the promise of discovery ahead. The wind was brisk, carrying with it the salty tang of the ocean and the faint scent of eucalyptus from the land they approached. The cries of seabirds added their voices to the symphony of waves, reinforcing the notion that this was a place of life and mystery. 10 days later, on April 29th, 1770, the Endeavour anchored at a natural harbour which Cook would name Botany Bay, due in part to the rich variety of flora observed by the ship's botanists, Joseph Banks and Daniel Solander. The bay offered a sheltered respite from the relentless ocean, its waters a deep, inviting blue. As the longboats were lowered, a palpable excitement mixed with anxiety infused the crew, each man acutely aware of the monumental step they were about to take. The air was alive with the scent of coastal plants, the gentle rustling of leaves accompanying the rhythmic splash of oars. As they set foot on land, the sensual assault of new aromas and the vibrant palette of unspoiled wilderness greeted them, marking the moment as both an end to one journey and the beginning of another. The initial interactions with the indigenous people, the Gwegal, unfolded cautiously under a sun that cast its warm glow on the sandy shores. The Gwegal, cloaked in the painted markings of their culture and armed with spears, approached the newcomers with a mixture of curiosity and wariness. Communication barriers loomed large, yet the universal language of gestures and expressions bridged the initial gap, if only tentatively. For the Guigal, the sight of these strange visitors and their imposing vessel was unprecedented, a profound moment captured in the shared silence and mutual scrutinization. Cook and his crew, dressed in their sturdy naval attire, found themselves in stark contrast to the land and its people, their presence an odd intrusion into a world they could barely comprehend. This encounter was charged with historical significance, as it marked the first recorded interaction between Europeans and the indigenous peoples of Australia's eastern coast. It was a moment fraught with the potential for both understanding and conflict, emblematic of the broader consequences of European exploration and its impact on native cultures. As Cook diligently documented these encounters in his journals, the seeds were sown for future engagements, both amicable and adversarial, that would shape the narrative of colonial Australia in the years to come. The landing at Botany Bay thus stood not just as a milestone in a voyage of discovery, but as a prelude to the complex tapestry of histories that would intertwine in this newly charted landscape. The journey along Australia's eastern coastline was a triumph of navigation and cartography, a testament to Captain James Cook's meticulous dedication to maritime exploration. From April to August 1770, the Endeavour embarked on an ambitious task to chart over 2,000 miles of previously unrecorded coastline. Each dawn brought new vistas, shrouded in mist and mystery, as Cook and his crew set about their painstaking work. With charts in hand, eyes strained and instruments readied, they documented every promontory and inlet, every island and bay. The sea air carried the scent of salt and adventure, while the rhythmic lapping of waves provided a constant backdrop to their monumental task. Cook's dedication to accuracy was unwavering. He consulted his sextant and compass with the precision of a maestro, orchestrating a symphony of discovery that would redefine the world's understanding of the South Pacific. Among the key sites that punctuated this epic endeavour were Cape York and the Great Barrier Reef. Cape York, the northernmost tip of the continent, marked a significant waypoint. On August 22nd, 1770, Cook claimed the eastern coast of Australia for the British Crown, proclaiming it New South Wales. Standing on Possession Island, draped in naval uniform that bristled in the trade winds, Cook's voice rang with formality amidst the rustle of palm fronds and distant cries of seabirds. The declaration was not merely symbolic, but a pivotal moment in the imperial expansion that would reshape the region's future. Yet, the journey was fraught with peril, particularly as they encountered the Great Barrier Reef. This formidable natural wonder, a dazzling labyrinth of coral and crystal-clear waters, was both breathtaking and treacherous. Navigating through its intricate passages demanded all of Cook's skill, a challenge amplified by the ever-present threat of jagged coral lurking beneath the waves. The voyage took a dramatic turn when the Endeavour ran aground on a hidden shoal of the reef on June 11th, 1770. The sickening shudder of timber meeting coral reverberated through the ship, the sound a chilling contrast to the serene surroundings. Panic surged among the crew, yet under Cook's leadership, they rallied to save their vessel. In the stifling heat, sweat-soaked clothing clung uncomfortably to their skin as they worked tirelessly to lighten the ship, casting overboard iron and ballast. The scent of desperation mingled with the sea breeze, a potent reminder of the precariousness of their situation. For over 24 hours, they battled against time and tide, until, finally, the ship was freed. Limping to the safety of the mainland, they found a suitable site for repairs at what is now known as Cooktown. Here, the crew undertook the arduous task of patching the Endeavour's hull, a process that required weeks of labour and ingenuity. the atmosphere oscillated between tense concentration and weary relief as the sound of mallets striking wood echoed across the tranquil bay. Each repair was a testament to human resilience, a mending not just of the ship's timbers but of the crew's spirit. As they worked, the scent of resin and fresh cut timber mingled with the earthy aroma of the surrounding rainforest, creating an olfactory snapshot of survival and endurance. This unforeseen delay, though perilous, offered an unexpected opportunity for Cook to observe and document the natural history of this rich and diverse region, adding another layer to the tapestry of his monumental voyage. As the Endeavour lay anchored for repairs, Captain Cook and his crew encountered the indigenous peoples of the region, marking a pivotal moment in the voyage. The Gugu Yimithir people, who inhabited the area near modern-day Cooktown, were among the first Aboriginal groups to interact with the Europeans. These interactions were characterized by a mix of curiosity and caution. On initial contact, small groups of indigenous people approached the shore, observing the strangers from a distance. They were adorned with ochre-painted bodies, their skin shining under the subtropical sun. The atmosphere was heavy with anticipation, the air filled with the calls of birds and the distant rustle of leaves as both parties assessed each other. Captain Cook, attentive and diplomatic, attempted to establish communication with the Gugu Yimithir. He was keenly aware of the significance of these encounters, both for his immediate mission and its implications for future relations. The Gugu Yimithir, meanwhile, were equally observant, their expressions a mix of intrigue and skepticism, as they tried to decipher the intentions of these newcomers clad in heavy wool and linen, their garments ill-suited for the humid climate. Despite the language barrier, gestures were exchanged, and mutual attempts at understanding began to bridge the cultural chasm. As the two groups interacted, there were exchanges of goods that highlighted both curiosity and misunderstanding. The crew offered trinkets such as beads and cloth, items they presumed would be valued by the indigenous people. In return, the Gugu Yimithir presented Cook and his men with spears and other implements, items not merely utilitarian, but emblematic of their culture and way of life. However, these exchanges were not always smooth. What the crew saw as gifts, the indigenous people might have perceived as an imposition, or, on occasion, as a sign of weakness. This was a delicate dance of diplomacy and misunderstanding, as both sides navigated unfamiliar cultural landscapes under the harsh glare of the tropical sun. Joseph Banks, the expedition's naturalist, was particularly struck by these interactions. His journals meticulously detail the flora and fauna observed during this period, but they also provide keen insights into the cultural exchanges. Banks wrote vividly of the indigenous practices, documenting their fishing techniques and use of native plants. His observations went beyond mere scientific interest. They reflected a profound curiosity about the lives and societies of the people he encountered. The scenes Banks described were rich with sensory detail. He noted the rich ochre hues used in body decorations, the rhythmic sounds of traditional songs and dances, and the distinct smells of cooking fires blending with the tang of the sea breeze. Banks's accounts, filled with wonder and occasional presumption, became a critical record of these early interactions. They captured a moment in time when two vastly different worlds briefly intersected, each leaving an indelible mark on the other. These encounters, though fraught with challenges, held a significance that extended far beyond the immediate context of Cook's expedition. They were early indicators of the complex and often fraught relationships that would develop between Indigenous Australians and European settlers in the years to come. As the Endeavour eventually sailed away from the shores of the Great Southern Land, The memories of these interactions sailed with her, a blend of discovery, misunderstanding, and the beginnings of a long, shared history. As the Endeavour's sails caught the wind and the ship departed from the shores it had so carefully charted, the immediate effects of European contact with Australia's indigenous peoples began to unfold. The initial encounters, which Cook documented with a mixture of curiosity and pragmatism, often left a profound impact. Indigenous Australians, such as the Gweagal people at Botany Bay, experienced an unprecedented intrusion into their lands. Cook's arrival introduced unfamiliar technologies and diseases. The clatter of musket fire and the shining brass of the ship's cannons disturbed the natural soundscape of rustling leaves and bird calls. In the wake of these interactions, indigenous societies faced new challenges. Traditional fishing grounds and hunting territories were now juxtaposed with foreign anchors and sails. The smells of gunpowder mingled with the coastal breeze, bringing an air of uncertainty and tension. Over time, the long-term implications for indigenous populations became evident. These early encounters marked the beginning of significant disruptions to their way of life. European diseases, to which indigenous people had no immunity, would eventually decimate populations, changing the demographic fabric dramatically. Knowledge systems and cultural practices passed down through countless generations began to face existential threats. The vibrant dances and oral histories that had flourished for millennia were increasingly overshadowed by the encroaching influence of European customs and language. These initial meetings, fraught with misunderstanding and sometimes open hostility, were harbingers of the profound transformation that lay ahead. The dynamic social and environmental systems, which had remained relatively stable for thousands of years, were set on a course of irrevocable change. The Endeavour's exploratory mission signalled the beginning of European interest in the colonisation of Australia. Cook's detailed charts and Banks's vivid descriptions captivated the imaginations of those back in Europe, painting a picture of an untamed land rich with potential. The great southern land, with its vast uncharted coastlines and seemingly boundless resources, became an attractive prospect for settlement. The weathered faces of the crew, bronzed by months of sun and sea, bore witness to the allure of this new continent. The sharp scent of salt and wind was imbued with a sense of opportunity and adventure. Use of words like terra nullius began to emerge, encapsulating the European perspective that Australia was a land ready for claiming, disregarding the rich tapestry of indigenous civilizations. Cook's voyage laid the groundwork for the complex colonial endeavours that would follow, setting into motion a series of events that would reshape not only the great southern land, but also the entire course of its history. As the Endeavour continued on its path, the ripples of its passage spread far and wide, portending a new era of exploration and exploitation. As the Endeavour turned its prow away from the shores of the great southern land, the crew of the storied vessel could not help but contemplate the monumental task they had undertaken. The departure from Australia marked the beginning of their return journey to England, a voyage that promised its own challenges and triumphs. The effervescent sea glistened under the pale sun, the azure expanse occasionally disrupted by the playful dance of dolphins alongside the ship's hull. A salty breeze carried the scent of adventure as the Endeavour navigated the treacherous passage through the Torres Strait, a perilous route that demanded both skill and fortune. The crew, clad in weathered naval attire, bore the marks of their arduous journey. Their garments, once crisp and fresh, were now faded and salt-stained, each thread telling a story of endurance. Despite the rigours of the voyage, there was a palpable sense of anticipation. Whispers of home filled the air as the men dreamt of English shores and the embracing arms of loved ones left behind. The rhythmic creak of the timbers and the steady flap of the sails accompanied their musings as Cook meticulously charted the course home. The Endeavour's arrival in England on July 12th, 1771, was met with both relief and triumph as the ship glided into port under a sky brimming with the promises of a new dawn. The sight of familiar harbours stirred the hearts of the crew, their eyes alight with the joy of homecoming. As the anchor dropped, signalling the end of their long and arduous journey, the air was filled with the sounds of jubilant greetings and the rustle of festively unfurled Union Jacks. A cacophony of bustling dockside activity met them, stevedores shouting orders, the clatter of hooves on cobblestones, and the giddy laughter of children playing near the quayside. The reception of Captain Cook's achievements was nothing short of extraordinary. The public and scientific community alike were eager to celebrate the return of the Endeavour and the captain's remarkable contributions to the mapping of the great southern land. Cook, now a household name, was hailed as a hero of unprecedented merit. The Royal Society, ever in pursuit of expanding the boundaries of known geography, lauded his detailed charts and observations, which promised to enhance trade routes and broaden the understanding of the globe's distant regions. Recognition flowed forth not only from the lips of scholars, but also from the pens of poets and the hearts of the common people. Cook's meticulous documentation of the voyage and his unwavering commitment to exploration ignited the imaginations of many, inspiring future generations to embark on their own quests for discovery. His success was emblematic of an era of enlightenment, scientific inquiry, and colonial ambition. As the sun set on the Endeavour's historic voyage, its legacy cast long shadows, entwining the destinies of continents and cultures in ways that would be felt for centuries to come. The lasting impact of Captain Cook's expedition cannot be overstated, especially regarding his immense contributions to cartography and maritime navigation. Aboard the HMS Endeavour, under the vast, ever-changing canvas of the Southern Hemisphere sky, Cook diligently charted the eastern coastline of Australia with unprecedented accuracy. The air was brisk and tinged with the salt of the sea, a testament to the expedition's proximity to unexplored lands, as the crew painstakingly measured distances and angles, their breath visible in the morning chill. Cook's charts, skillfully drawn with precision and care, became invaluable tools for future seafarers. Before this voyage, the great southern land was shrouded in mystery and conjecture. Cook's detailed maps transformed these unknown waters into navigable routes, opening new avenues for trade and exploration. The accuracy of these charts stood the test of time, guiding countless explorers who followed in his wake and became a cornerstone in advancing British maritime navigation for years to come. In the broader canvas of history, Cook's journey set the stage for future explorations and British colonial expansion in the Southern Hemisphere. As the Endeavour anchored at the bustling ports of London, the scent of salt and earth still clung to the sailors, mingling with the city's own blend of smoke and industry. The success of the voyage fired the engines of imperial ambition, fueling desires to claim and cultivate these newly charted lands. The strategic and economic potential of Australia, now meticulously documented, was not lost on the British Crown. Cook's voyage laid the groundwork for the establishment of colonies, such as the first fleet's arrival in 1788, which marked the beginning of British settlement in New South Wales. Cook's discoveries, integrated into the imperial mindset of the age, were instrumental in expanding British influence across the globe setting off a wave of exploration and colonization that would reshape the history of the Southern Hemisphere. Within the realm of exploration, Captain Cook secured an indelible place in history, his name etched alongside the legendary navigators who carved paths into the unknown. His journey was more than a mere expedition. It was a testament to the spirit of discovery that defined the Enlightenment era. As tales of his feats spread across Europe, the echoes of his achievements resonated in the minds of explorers, scientists, and dreamers alike. The Endeavour's voyage symbolized the triumph of human curiosity and resilience, often celebrated in taverns and homes where the scent of burning wood and the sound of lively discussion filled the air. Despite the later controversy that some of his actions would incite, Cook's relentless pursuit of knowledge and his transformative impact on world geography ensured his place in the annals of exploration. His ability to blend scientific inquiry with seafaring prowess set a standard that future generations would strive to emulate. As the maps he created continued to guide ships to new shores, Cook's legacy persisted, a beacon of exploration that illuminated the path to the unknown for all who dared to follow. Yet, as the years have passed, Captain Cook's achievements have become a subject of profound reflection and debate, revealing a dual legacy. On one hand, his voyage brought remarkable scientific advancements. His meticulous records and the detailed maps created from his observations transformed geographical understanding in an age where much of the world remained shrouded in mystery. The path of the Endeavour, cutting through still, azure waters and skirting perilous reefs, was guided by Cook's acute navigational skills and relentless pursuit of precision. The scientific community of the late 18th century, eager for knowledge, embraced these contributions. The maps he drafted were not just ink on parchment. For contemporaries, they represented the opening of a new world where boundless opportunities for discovery awaited. As the Endeavour returned to the bustling ports of England, its hold filled with specimens and records, the atmosphere was charged with a sense of triumph mingled with awe. The crisp, salty air of the harbour mingled with the scent of pitch and seaweed, while the clatter of rigging and the cries of dockworkers filled the air. These scientific treasures, like Joseph Banks' botanical samples, promised to revolutionize natural science, offering insights into ecosystems never before seen by European eyes. The tangible legacy of Cook's journey lay not only in these maps and specimens, but in the spirit of scientific inquiry that he inspired, a testament to the Enlightenment's values. However, coupled with these advancements came the darker shadows of colonialism. The maps that unveiled new coastlines also laid the groundwork for European expansion, often at the expense of indigenous peoples. The arrival of Cook's expedition in regions like Australia marked the beginning of profound and irreversible changes for Aboriginal populations. The initial encounters, buoyed by mutual curiosity and wonder, soon gave way to conflicts and dispossession, as waves of settlers followed in Cook's wake, driven by the allure of new lands. The creaking of wooden ships arriving with increasing frequency foreshadowed the looming tide of colonial ambition. The promises of opportunity and prosperity for some came with the harsh reality of exploitation and subjugation for others, a dual legacy that cannot be ignored. In modern times, this complexity prompts a re-evaluation of Cook's legacy. While his contributions to navigation and science are undeniable, the colonial consequences of his voyages demand a critical appraisal. As historians and communities revisit these histories, they grapple with the dichotomy of exploration and exploitation. On a bright summer's day in a modern Sydney, where the sun casts sharp shadows against the sails of yachts in the harbour. The legacy of Cook is not merely a tale of discovery. It is a reminder of the intricate dance between human curiosity and the thirst for power, a narrative demanding balance between acknowledgement of scientific strides and the voices of those whose worlds were irrevocably altered. Thus, Cook's historic voyage serves as a poignant example of exploration's double-edged sword. It is a testament to human ingenuity and the unyielding quest for knowledge, yet also a reflection on the profound responsibilities that accompany discovery. As the world continues to navigate these legacies, the story of Captain Cook's journey offers both guidance and caution, illuminating the paths of the future with the lessons of the past.